It's week 10 of the NFL season, and here are my predictions for this week. But first, how did I do in week 9? In week 9, I was 5-9 in my predictions. Starting off the week on Thursday Night Football, we have the 1-7 Panthers versus the 2-7 Bears. Entering this week, Justin Fields is still listed questionable for this game, and on Monday at practice, he was limited. And last week for the Bears, they lost 24-17 to the Saints. In that game, Tyson Bagent had 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. And for the Panthers, they lost 27-13 to the Colts. In that game, Bryce Young had 173 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 interceptions. I think this game could go either way, but I think the Bears are going to win. Moving over to Sunday morning, in Frankfurt, Germany, we have the 4-5 Colts versus the 2-7 Patriots. Last week, the Colts defense was great versus the Panthers. Their defense had 4 sacks and 3 interceptions, and Kenny Moore II had 2 pick sixes. And for the Patriots, they lost 20-17 to the Washington Commanders. In that game, late in the fourth quarter, they were driving down the field, and Mac Jones threw an interception with 30 seconds left in the game at Washington's 41-yard line. And I think the Colts are going to win. Next, the 5-3 Browns versus the 7-2 Ravens. Both of these teams have great defenses, and this should be a very good game. Last week, the Browns shut out the Cardinals 27-0, and in that game, Deshaun Watson completed 19 of 30 passes for 219 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Amari Cooper had 5 receptions for 139 yards and a touchdown. And their defense was amazing, having 7 sacks and 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery. And for the Ravens, they beat the Seahawks 37-3. In that game, Keaton Mitchell had 9 carries for 138 yards and a touchdown, and Gus Edwards had 5 carries for 52 yards and 2 touchdowns. But this week, I have the Browns winning. Next, the 4-4 Texans versus the 5-3 Bengals. Last week, the Texans beat the Buccaneers 39-37. In that game, CJ Stroud completed 30 of 42 passes for 470 yards and 5 touchdowns. And Noah Brown had 6 receptions for 153 yards and a touchdown. And he was just one of their 3 receivers that had over 100 yards. And the Bengals are coming off their 4th straight win versus the Bills, where they won 24-18. In that game, Joe Burrow completed 31 of 44 passes for 348 yards, 2 touchdowns, and T. Higgins had 8 receptions for 110 yards. I could see this game being very high scoring, and with the way CJ Stroud has been playing lately, I think the Texans are going to win. Next, the 3-5 Packers versus the 5-3 Steelers. The Packers are coming off a very nice win over the Rams 20-3 to snap their 4-game losing streak. And for the Steelers, they're coming off a 20-16 victory over the Titans, and I have the Steelers winning. Next, the 3-5 Titans versus the 3-5 Buccaneers. Entering this game, the Titans have lost 3 out of their last 4 games, and the Buccaneers are on a 4-game losing streak. But I think the Buccaneers are going to win. Next, the 5-3 49ers versus the 6-2 Jaguars. Both of these teams have been great this season, and they are both coming off their bye weeks. But the 49ers have lost their last 3 games, and the Jaguars have won 5 games in a row. But I think the 49ers are going to get back on track this week and win. Next, the 5-4 Saints versus the 5-4 Vikings. Last week, the Saints beat the Bears 24-17, and the Vikings won 31-28 over the Falcons. Early in that game, quarterback Jaren Hall got injured, and Joshua Dobbs came in and was very good. He completed 20 of 30 passes for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he had 7 carries for 66 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. But the Saints are going to win. Next, the 4-5 Falcons versus the 1-8 Cardinals. This week, Kyler Murray is returning and will start at quarterback for the Cardinals. But I still think the Falcons are going to win. Next, the 6-2 Lions versus the 4-4 Chargers. The Lions are coming off their bye week, and the Chargers are coming off a 27-6 victory over the Jets. The Lions have just been so good this season, and I have them winning. Next, the 2-7 Giants versus the 5-3 Cowboys. Last week, the Giants got blown out 30-6 to the Raiders, and the Cowboys are coming off a 28-23 loss over the Eagles. In that game, Dak Prescott played very well, having 374 yards and 3 touchdowns, and CeeDee Lamb had 11 receptions for 191 yards. And I hate to say it, but I have the Cowboys winning this week. Next, the 4-5 Commanders versus the 5-3 Seahawks. Last week for the Commanders, Sam Howell had 325 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And Terry McLaurin had 5 receptions for 73 yards. And this season, Sam Howell has been so good. He is currently second in the NFL in passing yards with 2,471 yards. And he has 14 touchdowns but has 9 interceptions, which is tied for the most with Jimmy Garoppolo, Josh Allen, and Mac Jones. And the Seahawks are coming off a horrible loss to the Ravens where they lost 37-3. In that game, Geno Smith completed 13 of 28 passes for 157 yards and 1 touchdown. And on the day, the team only had a combined 151 yards, and they gave up 515 yards to the Ravens. But I still think the Seahawks are going to win. Next, on Sunday Night Football, the 4-4 Jets are taking on the 4-5 Raiders. The Raiders looked very good the first game after firing Josh McDaniels, and I have them winning. And on Monday Night Football, we have the 3-5 Broncos versus the 5-4 Bills. The Broncos are coming off their bye week, and the Bills are coming off a 24-18 loss to the Bengals. And the Bills have lost 3 out of their last 5 games. But I still think the Bills are going to win this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Goodbye.